ADHD is really about being able to self-regulate, right? And to put attention towards things regardless of how interesting we find them. So kids with ADHD don't have any difficulty at all in being able to focus on that Lego set that they were like so excited about getting, and they can sit there and do it for hours. It's more about how they do in transitioning away from that preferred activity. And in how they do at being able to attend to things, even though they aren't necessarily inherently interesting or motivating. Okay? So I think that that's one of the key points about ADHD is that it really involves kind of our capacity to regulate our own behavior and to match our behavior with the environment. It also has a lot to do, I think, with being able to put on the brakes and really consider future outcomes. So when we talk about kids with ADHD, lots of times I'll ask parents, I'll use my own name. How much does Noelle think about future Noelle? How much time does Noelle spend considering possible outcomes for her behavior? Does it seem like she's always focused on what Noelle needs here and now, as opposed to what things might look like tomorrow? And so really what we're talking about is a bunch of different deficits in areas of the brain that we call our executive functions. And I sort of think about it like an absent-minded administrative assistant. So we all have kind of our part of our frontal lobe that's supposed to sort of manage the tasks that we have in order to get through the day. And it's almost as if that administrative assistant is not helping us to sort of say, well, remember, you have that meeting at 3, you have that meeting at 3, you have that meeting at 3. And without that, we can't really regulate goal-directed behavior in a way that helps us to sort of successfully meet those demands. Right? One of the things about talking about ADHD as a mental health problem, I think that there's a couple different areas to keep in mind there. And that is that ADHD often co-occurs with a lot of different issues that we think of as being really important to a child's development. So for example, a child who has ADHD is 4 times as likely as their peers to have some sort of emotional issue or a conduct problem. So 4 times as likely to have something like anxiety or depression along with ADHD. They're up to 3 times as likely to have problems with peers than the average kid sitting next to them. So that self-regulation piece becomes more and more important as far as whether or not kids are accepted by peers, included in the group, or whether or not they're rejected. And kids might not even know why. They might not be able to sort of cue into the subtle sort of feedback that they're getting from peers in order to put on those brakes, right, and pull the reins in. And then the other piece is that they're much more likely to have academic problems. And school is a big part of a kid and teenager's life. They're more likely to be receiving pretty constant negative feedback. And so all of those social and emotional factors, I think, make ADHD a much more impactful issue than we might think of as far as, can you pay attention to something or can you plan ahead?